The movie starts with a black woman talking on the phone with her sister. She seems so upset when she describes her situation on the call. She complains about racial discrimination and financial difficulties in her life. She also complains about the housing office making her wait for hours and not granting her any ease in house rent. Listening to her complaints, her sister tries to make some sense to her that she has a good job and should not worry, as these circumstances result from living a fancy life and spending too much money. Her sister advises her to spend her money carefully and monitor her expenses. Only then might she be able to live peacefully. Both sisters then discuss the meet-up time, which they had decided would be later that evening at 5 p.m. Cheryl constantly cries as she makes up her mind about something. Suddenly, she gets up and starts packing her clothes in a bag. She takes money and all of her jewelry. Then she writes a note for her family and puts it on the refrigerator's door. As Cheryl is about to leave, she gets a phone call from her husband, Michael. She ignores it and throws her phone on the counter. Later, her landline phone starts ringing, but she does not answer the call and leaves the house. After she leaves, her note on the fridge says she is just popping to the hairdresser. Several years later, a fair-skinned black lady is introduced as Neve. She lives in a posh area inside a luxurious house. And a wall painting shows her family, which includes her white husband, Ian, and two biracial children, Sebastian and Mary. She plans to raise a fundraising gala for unprivileged children. Her only intention is to get approval from her community, and she tries her best to fit in and please everyone. She visits her daughter's workplace and is pleased to know that Mary is studying well. She shows her distaste when she notices how her daughter styled her hair like a black girl. Later, she meets a friend at a coffee shop, and they discuss the gala event. She assures Neve that she is well accepted in the community and does not need to prove herself by throwing such an event. Later, Neve notices something strange, as if a black person is watching her, but when she looks back again, there is no black person in the cafe. On the way home, Neve once again notices a black person in her rear window, which almost causes her to have an accident. She informs her husband about it, and he consoles her. When she drives her kids to school, she notices some black drawings of two children. This startles her, and she wonders if her son drew this on the mirror. When she enters the school, it is revealed that she works at her children's school as deputy headmistress. She won the title of Best Teacher 5th year in a row. Suddenly she notices a black janitor in the school hall, and is shocked to see her son Sebastian talking to him. She warns him to stay away from the janitor. Later that day, when she is watching the kids play the choir, she suddenly notices someone on the school grounds. When she chases after him, it is unveiled that it is her son Sebastian. She confronts him about the cigarettes she suspects the black janitor gave him. Still, he tells her that he bought the cigarettes himself. At the end of the day, when Neve drives back home with her daughter, she finds out that her son has a basketball match today and will be late for school. She again notices a black figure on the road and loses control of her car. Later, she drops her daughter at her friend Jessie's house. Neve continuously itches her head as she wears a wig to hide her curly hair. She tries to hide her black identity at every cost. Ian and Neve meet with their friends that night. They all happily chat when Neve suddenly notices a black figure outside her window. She screams and runs away nervously. But to everyone's surprise, no one is outside, and she feels embarrassed about her outburst. Her daughter Mary joins them. Her hair is braided like a black girl, but her mother doesn't like it. When their friends leave the house, Ian and Neve wonder why their son has not returned home. On inquiring, they find out that the game was over 3 hours ago. Both parents sit in the TV lounge waiting for their son. As he arrives, his dad scolds him for being out so late, while enraged Neve starts beating him up badly. This takes her husband by surprise, and he forcefully stops her from hurting their son. One night Neve dreams about the wall of her kitchen shattering, with huge cracks and strange videos of black kids starting playing on the TV. Then she wakes up in her bed full of sweat. The next morning she meets the principal to complain about the black janitor. She wants him gone for corrupting the kids with cigarettes. Still, the principal decides to leave the janitor with a formal warning, as they have no evidence against him. Later that day, Neve goes to the bathroom to meet the janitor. He confronts her by blaming her that she wanted to take his job away. He shouts that she is his mother, whom they consider dead, as she abandoned him and his sister Dion to start a new life here. She runs away, claiming she is not who he thinks. He must be mistaken about her identity. Neve throws a fantastic fundraising gala, and everyone adores her and the event. Everything goes according to her plan. Then Neve suddenly spots two uninvited guests. She gets anxious and rushes towards them, calling them out about crashing the event uninvited. She suspects they are here to disrupt her life and get her harmed. She shouts that their plans will not be successful this time, as they have been after her for a few days to cause her harm. These black kids are her biological children, Dion and Carl. A flashback of 5 days earlier shows the two black individuals Neve has been seeing. They are Carl and Dion, the story's main characters. The two arrive at a hotel with an unknown mission as they search for Neve and her family on the internet, and get excited when they find out about them. They both fake their identities and get jobs in a new community. Carl takes the name of Marvin and gets a janitor job at the school where Neve works, while Dion uses a fake name, Abigail, and gets a job as an assistant at Ian's office. A flashback from the coffee shop shows that Neve was right when she suspected of being followed by a black person. It was indeed Carl purposefully scaring her at different times. Abigail befriends Mary by meeting her outside her home, and they decide to connect via Facebook, and Abigail gifts a pink comb to Mary as a token of their friendship. All scenes connect from the past, such as when Mary became friends with Abigail, and how happy they were for finding people of the same race. At the same time, Marvin looks up information about the Neve family. He tries to find their home address and finally succeeds as his sister looks up family photos of their mother and her new family. Marvin cries when he watches a childhood album of his family, pictures of his parents, and these both children happily, only till a certain age then they lost their mother. It becomes clear that he is looking for revenge on his mother. Another flashback scene from the school corridor shows Sebastian's first encounter with his stepbrother Carl disguised as Marvin. A bully was threatening him, but Marvin intervened and helped. Later they became friends and went to smoke on school grounds. Another flashback shows how Mary lied to her mother about meeting Jesse, but she was meeting with Abigail. Indeed, they hang out for a party, and both girls braid each other's hair, and get a lot of food and drinks while dancing to the music. Abigail feels envious of Mary about how she got such a privileged life, and her mother's love while facing all the bullies alone, living a miserable life without a parent. Meanwhile, Marvin hangs out with Sebastian after the basketball game. They sit on top of a roof and smoke weed. Marvin asks about Neve, and her son replies that she considers herself white, and never talks about her past, and despises black people. Marvin dares Sebastian to jump off the building and man up. He complies with hesitation, and gets the approval of his mate. They plan to go to the next level the same night, which is getting revenge on Sebastian's bully. They meet him up at an empty street, and Marvin covers his head from behind while Sebastian crushes his head with a basketball. Later on, he meets up with his sister in a hotel room, and gets annoyed that she invited Mary to their hotel room. He tells his little sister that maybe they should leave as they are not wanted here. She suggests he try one last time as Mary has invited them to the gala event. A flashback to the present shows them crashing the gala event, causing chaos. Later on, it is revealed that Neve is Cheryl, the woman who abandoned her family at the start of the movie. Her husband and children question her about her past, and she admits that the black children were right. She is indeed their mother, who left them 16 years ago. Cheryl cleared her position by saying that her husband was abusive, so she left him to start a new life. When Ian asks her why she abandoned her kids, she answers that no one wouldn't have accepted 2 black children from another husband. Cheryl meets up with Carl and Dion at a cafe. They show their anger about her leaving them behind. She clears her position by saying that she left because their father was cruel. When Dion questions about moving into her new house, she hands them over a check for $20,000 and asks them to go back to London and start a new life. Back in her new home, she apologizes to her husband and children about the whole situation, and they decide to leave the past behind and stay strong like a family. One night they get unexpected guests, Carl and Dion, who break into their house and take everyone hostage. Carl takes all the phones and dumps them into the kitchen sink. They order Chinese food for everyone as it's Dion's birthday. They tell Ian the real name of Neve is Cheryl, which surprises them as she has told no one about her reality. When Cheryl asks her son Carl about closing the tap, he taunts her, saying they should let the water run. As they wait for their food, he questions Ian about his gym, and is amazed that they have a house gym. Later, he demands he lifts some weights with him. As they are in the middle of a conversation, Dion demands her mother to have a family photograph taken, which includes all her children, including Dion and Carl. When Ian tries to talk to Carl about sorting things up, he gets angry at him and punches his nose, causing blood to rush to his face. This act causes everyone to be scared of Carl's violent behavior. Dion demands everyone to sing her a happy birthday song. They wonder if Cheryl's family played board games on Christmas and birthdays, as these two siblings never had any chance to play these games, as they didn't get a normal childhood because of their mother. Dion wishes to play a board game with the whole family, so she and Sebastian start looking for a board in the house while Cheryl sets up the dinner table. Mary looks so scared as she hugs her father when suddenly Carl questions Ian about the money his mother gave him to tip them off. Ian looks puzzled and does not know about the money. He feels disgusted that his wife tried to pay off her kids with money. Carl and Dion decide that they are here to win their mother back with this money, as it's been 20 years they lived off without her. Stressed, Cheryl vomits suddenly but soon recovers, puts a fake smile on her face, and suggests playing the board game in the form of the teams. But Ian decides that he is sick of all this drama, and wants a divorce from his wife. This shocks the kids as they try to calm their father and start the board game. Soon Carl gets bored of the game and decides to take Ian with him for weightlifting in their gym. He threateningly holds a knife in his hand as he follows Ian to the gym. The remaining family sits at the table when the loud screaming sounds of Ian echo through the house. They feel so frightened, but before they can act, the doorbell rings. Cheryl opens the door for the food delivery guy. She takes the food away from him, but asks him to wait for her as she wants to tip him for his good service. She peeks from the gym door to see her husband and finds out that Carl pushed him to lift weights more than his capacity, causing his death. She quietly moves away from the door, looking for her purse. She tells the group that she will tip the driver and be right back, but she does not return. She has indeed left with the driver. Mary and Sebastian are left standing in the flooded room with Dion and Carl, as they all realize that Cheryl has also abandoned her second set of children.